End-to-end data analysis, episode 3. If you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, we're going to do a very quick recap now, and you can watch them right now or after this. It doesn't really matter. They're fairly self-contained. Now, where are we at? What are we doing? So we are actually looking to fix a business problem, which is a camping store. In this example, it's all hypothetical, but this example, we have this camping store which sells thousands of products and has thousands of reviews. And some of those reviews are actually one and two star reviews. And we've got this person here, AI guy wearing 2 jackets, weird, that their job is to go through and understand what is some of the issues, some of the pain points, what is causing customers pain. And we've got an example here where it's all about the zipper being no good. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and collect that data. So get our product data and our review data, which we've been able to successfully do. We want to clean that up a little bit. Then we want to programmatically pass it across to something like ChatGPT through the OpenAI API. And then we want to be able to collect all that information and go ahead and do a whole heap of analysis and build dashboards. So at the end of the day, what we'll have is a beautiful dashboard which will be able to showcase some of the customer pain points by different products, by different manufacturers. So going back to our initial problem statement, the camping store can identify these issues and make better product decisions and provide feedback to manufacturers on how to improve their product. So where did we get to? So last time we imported the different Python packages we were required to achieve this, one of which was OpenAI. You might notice there's a new one here. This is the Google Colab user data. So on the left-hand side, we've got a little button here called secrets. You can actually put in a key and a value, and then you can call upon that user data. So I don't accidentally reveal my OpenAI API key again, which happened in the last tutorial. And some people used it and cost me money, which is fine because I now have ChatGPT 4 because I passed a cost threshold. So here's an example of one of the API calls that we had previously, which was grabbing all of the tents. This particular API call does a few different things. One is it goes ahead and it gets 90 items from the page. It starts at page 1 and it's looking at the tents category. What we want to do is we want to wrap that up into a function. So in the interest of time, I've gone ahead and started to work through that, and I'm going to talk you through what I've been able to do. So first of all, you might notice these parts here are pretty much identical. The main difference is we now have this DEF, so we're defining a function, get products, and we've got some parameters. And that's what's really awesome about Python functions. You can just call get products, and now it runs that API call. It's defaulted to page 1, page size 90, and that category tents. How it's doing that, it's actually using F strings. And what I mean by that is originally we'd have a string, for example, requests.get, and it's calling tents. Now it's just calling whatever value is assigned to category in our get products function. So all that means is I can say something like, product underscore response is equal to get products. And if I run that now, we now just get our entire product response. And at the moment, it's just our entire response. And if you recall from the previous videos, you can do a .json on that. And now we have this really rich JSON data where we can get all of our product IDs. So what we need to do is we need to do this sort of function wrappers. I'm calling it function wrappers. What I mean by that is we're putting a function at the top and we're putting a return statement at the end for not just our get products, but we need it for get reviews and for getting our themes from ChatGPT as well. So again, in the interest of time, because I think we are going to be faced with some real challenges with getting ChatGPT to behave 100% of the time, and we might need to settle on 90 or 80% of the time because we are working with large language models and sometimes they do have a bit of a mind of their own. I will go ahead and talk you through how I've gone wrapping up those API calls. So the next one I've got here is get reviews. And again, it's pretty much, it is identical to the previous episode and our actual API call. The only difference in this one is we are not giving a default value to product ID. And the reason I've chosen to do that is I want this get reviews to fail if I don't give it a product ID. Because the last thing we want to do is loop through 1,000 product IDs, but for whatever reason, it's not inputting into the get reviews and it's defaulting to a particular product. So how do I know it's going to fail? Well, if I shift enter on get reviews, it's going to say it's missing one positional argument, product ID. And positional argument in this case is position 1. So we need to put the product ID in there and it will give us that reviews response. And finally, if you recall in the last episode, we were able to create this API call, exactly the same story. We've just wrapped it up in a function and now we can call that one here as well. So if you can't already tell, I am super excited to get down to the nitty-gritty analysis part, but it is important that we do get this refactoring right. So to put it simply, we've got our 3 different functions and we're going to call each of those, but we are going to end up with these responses as sort of request responses, and we do need to get down to the exact data that we require. So what I'm thinking is very quickly is let's map out what we actually want. So the first thing we want is a list of product IDs, okay? And then from that, we want to pass those, we want a list of reviews, and then finally, we want a list of themes with review ID and product ID included. And to do that, we might need to do some tricky stuff. So let's start with a list of product IDs. To get that, we need to go ahead and call our get products. And so we'll do that now. So we'll say product response is equal to the get products. Hit the shift enter on that. And straight away, that's going to give us a product response, request response. And just like before, we'll do a .json on that. And if you recall from last time, we do need to go through and pick this apart and get down to our product IDs. So to do that, we'll say product response underscore JSON is equal to our product response.json. And we will even say something as simple as, I think from last time we said keys, and in the keys we've got our search results. So we'll ask for the search results, and from memory it's still a dictionary, so we'll ask for keys again and we'll get our results. Now I don't need all the really rich, and it's a list so keys won't work, I don't need all that really rich product detail. I just need the prod underscore ID, which is a key in these dictionaries. So what I can do is I can say X for X, and we did this in the last one, so X for X in this result set, and we'll just ask for a particular key, which I believe is prod ID. And I think, yeah, perfect. Okay, can't believe I remembered that. So now we've got 90 product IDs, and we'll call this one product underscore IDs. Okay, that's not an underscore. So what that means is we take all this and we put it there. We now have all of our product IDs. Perfect. So next up, we need to get our reviews. So shift enter, clear the screen a little bit. Scrolling up, we now have a list of product IDs. Let's get a list of reviews. So to do that, we're going to say for product ID, okay, in product IDs. And to be honest, we don't really want to go through all 90 just now. Let's go through the first 10. So to do that, we'll put some square brackets around it, and using our slice notation, we'll ask for the first 10. And for testing and clarity, we'll say print, and we'll keep this consistent. We'll say product ID. So for product ID in product IDs, shift enter on that. And now we've got 10 product IDs. So let's go ahead and ask for the reviews for all 10 products. But we probably want to be a bit smarter around this and make sure that we're, again, holding on to the review ID and the product ID, which I believe is in the review payloads, but let's double check that. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the brakes on this. So we just return 1. So we put a break on that. We'll take that off in a moment. And what we'll say is we will say, where are we? What are we going to say? So review underscore response. Okay, review response is equal to get underscore review, which is the function that we created just a moment ago. Get reviews. Thank you. Get reviews, open and close bracket. And because we're in this loop, we're able to pass in the product ID. So Shift enter on that. And we're going to do a bit of testing around this. So we've got that review response. Again, we're going to ask for the JSON, and that's going to give us that JSON payload. And again, from that, we're going to ask for some keys because we know that's a dictionary sort of object. And I'm going to get an error because I didn't do a closing bracket. Some keys, and we're going to look at our results. So to stay consistent with how we did product, we'll do review underscore response underscore JSON is equal to that. Okay, and then similar to before, if we look at review response, typing too fast, we're going good, underscore JSON, I should be able to ask for results. We've got the response. We actually need to get down to results. Alrighty, so if we look at the results, similar to before, we now have all of that really rich review data that is available to us. Now this payload is absolutely massive, but that's okay. And just to make it simple, we'll call this one reviews. Okay, so we now have a list of dictionaries in Python that are all the reviews. And what we need to do now is we need to filter that, because if I look at a single sort of review, there is a number of keys in there, and we don't need all of that information. We actually just need a handful of them. So to do that, in the previous episode, we actually did write another list comprehension, which was really helpful. So let's go ahead and grab that so we're not repeating ourselves too much. So where our list comprehension for reviews is this one here called clean underscore reviews. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, alrighty, so clean reviews is review for review in review. So very similar to the product X for X. If I shift enter on that, we're pretty close at this point. We've now got this clean reviews, but one thing I want to make sure of is that we've got that product ID and review ID available in there as well. So to bring those in, what we're going to make sure of is if I look at a single review, which keys do I need to grab to make sure we've got that information? So I imagine they'll be close to the top. We've got the review ID, which is ID. So let's have a look at that. Review ID is equal to ID. I'm just making some comments for myself. And I'm looking for product ID. So I'm guessing it's going to be prod ID, but let's have a look. And if we don't have it, we can always, I'm looking for that number there. So let's search the page. Oh, here we go. It's called product ID. Perfect. Alrighty. So to include those, what we need to do is we actually do need to go ahead and update that clean reviews list comprehension. Now it isn't too involved. We literally just need to add a couple more keys. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, give me the review ID, and the review ID is literally asking for the particular key, in which case is this ID here. Shift enter on that as a bit of a test, and we should now have a review ID, which we do, which is awesome. So this is the unique identifier of every single review, but we also want to hold on to the product so we can start to group these reviews together. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to update one more key to say, give me the, where are we? Give me another key called, what are we calling it? Well, product ID, Adam, come on, pay attention. Product ID, and that's going to be equal to, again, we're going to ask, okay, for review, give me the product ID, which is the key that is in all of the reviews. So shift enter, shift enter. So what we now have is we have the review ID and we have the product ID, which is awesome. Now, where to from here? So we've got clean reviews. We're very close. We've got a whole heap of clean reviews, and we're going to pass them all over to the ChatGPT sort of themes part of this. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to say for, what are we going to say? Well, what are we trying to do? So we have, well, first of all, let's have a look at how many reviews have we got in our clean reviews. And we've got 12, all right, because we've done this for one particular product. Let's go ahead and take the brakes off and do it for 10 products because we want a sizable amount of data to pass through to ChatGPT for our testing. So let's go ahead and shift enter on that. That's going 1, 2, more reviews, more reviews, more reviews. There's all 10. That's awesome. And then I'm going to shift enter on the next part. Actually, I'm going to pause there and have a think about this. Review response. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, let's talk about what I've just done wrong. So I'm going through each of these and I'm replacing review response with the latest reviews, but I need to create a variable called review list, okay? And review list actually needs us to append to it the review response, because then we need to process each of those and get all of the reviews out of them. So let's do it in two parts just to keep it easy, and then we can refactor that at a later stage. So we've got review list, we're going to append, okay, review response. So shift enter on that. So each of these now are getting loaded into the review list, which is great. Now from that, if we just double check, we should have a whole bunch of responses, all 200, which is great. And all that means now is we have a list of these request responses. And this means that we can actually just run this code again, but this time we're just going to tweak it ever so slightly. And we're just going to say, well, hey, for review response, yep. So for review response in, and you guessed it, it's in our review list, which is this one here, because we've got a list of responses. We are going to go ahead and say, well, the reviews are equal to the results. Now, we have a list of review responses, which is this review list here. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have a list of clean reviews, and that's going to be an empty list. And what we might as well do is, whilst we're in here, we might as well pop into the looping sort of part of our code. We might as well pop in this particular part here, which is our clean reviews, which does the cleanup and gets the keys that we actually want. And that way, what we're ending up with is this one here is a list of clean reviews. And to add a list to a list, we don't use append, we use extend. So what does that look like? That now looks like, let me make sure I get my indentation right. A list of, list of clean reviews dot extend, and we're going to extend that with list of clean reviews. Shift enter on that. And if that all worked well, we should now have, as a bit of a length test, a whole bunch, 0. Epic fail. What have I done wrong? List of clean reviews. Oh, I'm extending it with itself. I should be extending it with clean reviews. Shift enter, shift enter. And now we have 110 reviews, which is awesome, which tells me we've got lots and lots of reviews, and we can actually have a look at some of those. Let's have a look at the first, first few, first 10 maybe. Okay. Shift enter on that. And now we've got this really rich sort of data. Now, one thing we need to consider is we are only interested in those 1 and 2 star reviews. So let's go ahead and similar to last time, let's grab our list of clean reviews. And let's go ahead and go X for X in list of clean reviews. We are going to say we'll only return if, and now X again is each of those dictionaries, if the ratings, we'll grab that key rating. All right, if the rating is less than or equal to 2, or we could just say less than 3. Whatever is your preferred way of doing it. So shift enter on that, and that's going to return all of the reviews that are 1 and 2 star reviews, which we might have some very good products. We won't have a huge amount of 1 and 2 star reviews, but let's go ahead and call these 1, 2 star reviews, very descriptive. And let's go ahead and check the size of that to see what we're working with. So if I shift enter on that, 18, perfect. Good amount for testing. Okay, so what we need to do next is we do actually need to loop through our list of 1 and 2 star reviews. Inside each of those is a dictionary, which contains the complete, payload, including both the IDs. We need to pass a small subset of that over to ChatGPT to do its sort of inference and then have that respond. So similar to last time, let's actually do a nice big for loop, and then if it makes sense, we can convert it to a list comprehension later. So let's start off by saying for review underscore, I'll make it really obvious, so review underscore payload, that's what I'm calling it now, for review payload in, 1 and 2 star reviews. Let's go ahead and just for testing, let's print out the review payload, and let's pop a break in there now. Shift enter on that. And now we have our review ID, our product ID, and then all this information we want to use for ChatGPT. So where to from here? We need to pass that to ChatGPT. Now here's what I'm thinking. Now we've got a list called 1 and 2 star reviews, and that review payload can actually have keys added to it as we're looping through. So I can go, give me the review payload and let me add in the themes from ChatGPT, and let's go to the next one. Let's get the themes and add that to the dictionary. So how do we want to do that, Adam. Let me think about it. What are we doing? Okay, so to test it, why don't we go ahead and we've now got this review payload available to us. It's just one. And why don't we test on this, and then we can implement that logic into this for loop here. Polls don't seem to fit the tent. Okay, stop reading reviews, let ChatGPT do that, and then test it afterwards. All right, so let's think about this. So we really just want to pass this stuff to ChatGPT, but to make our lives a bit easier, I don't think it'd be too bad if I pass in these two for now. It's not going to cost me too many tokens. So why don't we go back to our ChatGPT and just let it know it'll be getting, well, I don't know if we actually need to tell. I'm just, in the interest of time, I really want to test this out, right? So let's see what happens if I pass this review payload to ChatGPT and how does it behave. So first of all, let's go, not get reviews. Let's go to get review themes. And this is expecting a string, JSON string. Okay, so make sure we dump that out to JSON, which is, if you're brand new to Python, it's a bit confusing, but you know, right now, this is a dictionary. I know it's a dictionary because I can say type and I get dictionary back. But it actually needs to be a string, which is in a valid JSON format, which is JavaScript object notation. So, and if you've got any questions about that, leave it in the comments. We can always make more videos and better understanding of those sort of concepts. Cool. So we've got a review payload, and the review payload needs to be passed over to ChatGPT. So to do that, I reckon we say themes response is equal to get review themes, which is our function, and we're going to be passing in the review payload. Invalid. Oh, I literally just said I need to make sure that this is a string, not a dictionary. So let's do that now. So review payload should now be review payload string, there we go, is equal to JSON dot dumps, and that's now set it up as a string, and we know it's a string because we can test that. So let's quickly go through and test that. To test that, what we're going to do is we're going to say review underscore payload underscore string, and you'll notice now that that's come through as an actual string. It still very much looks like a Python dictionary, but this is actually valid JavaScript object notation, and that's how the web sort of works when it passes data around through APIs. It's really just a piece of text, but it's in this format that is agreed upon by the specification, and that way, you know, that's how we're able to do JSON.loads and load it in as a dictionary, and when we dump it out, it goes into this format here. So the next step is themes underscore response is get review themes, and we're passing in the review payload string. Shift enter on that. And now what we've got is still running. Awesome, that's returned. Now we have the response, and I am just at a glance loving this. So it's like polls fitting issue, tet setup difficulty, just tight rate, huge amount of issues. Here's one that's quite sort of broad, disappointed with product. And we might need to tweak our system message, or we can remove these manually or do something about it. But we really want the specific ones. Like you are giving us a 1 and 2 star review. That tells me you're already disappointed. I don't need ChatGPT to tell me that. So where to from here? Now, we know that this is a chat completion. So we can say something like, I think it's choices, and choices gives us a list of choices. It's the first choice we're interested in. And then from there, I think we go, I feel like it's message, but it might be not message. I'm using my memory here. And that has content, right? And that content, if all goes well, should be in a JSON format. And so I'm going to try my luck and convert that. So this is what I was saying before. So we had a dictionary, we converted it to a string. This has returned a string that we should be able to get back to a Python dictionary. And to do that, what we might do is we might say, it's kind of backwards, but we'll say theme string response is equal to that. And then if all goes well, we should be able to say something like JSON.loads theme string response. And in this is awesome. So here we have it. We now have the themes. So what we might say is theme response, because it's now in a dictionary sort of format. And theme response, we just want to grab the themes, which is that one there. And now we should have a nice little list of themes. And what I'm thinking, if you scroll all the way to the top, we started off by doing review payload. Now, if I go back down here and I've got review payload, which is this one here, because these are mutable objects and I can change them once they're being created, I can actually go ahead and add a key to this payload, this review payload called, you guessed it, themes, and I can pass in theme response. So shift enter on that. And now you don't get anything returned. It's just like, yep, that's updated, happy days. Now when I look at review payload, oh, so excited. We now have a title, polls don't seem to fit in the tent. And it goes on for a bit. I'm actually like, just at a glance, it's like, can't pull them far enough apart to get the floor to smooth out. There's some wind blowing and the whole floor was ballooning. And in here we have the themes, polls not, fitting issue, set of difficulty type. This is awesome. So these are really great. And I'm really excited to get through the rest of them. So let's go and I'm just sorry. Give me a moment. This is so cool. This is so cool. I'm just picturing someone's job that it is to go and say, okay, we've got 100 one-star reviews. I need to go and figure out what's the problems. No, you don't need to. AI. It's helping us. Okay. Now, where to from here? Let's go back up and we need to implement all of this really cool stuff we've just done into our for loop. So we grab that one and we'll pop that in. We'll just go over it together. So we're going to go review payload string is equal to JSON dumps. Perfect. Theme responses is get theme review payload string. That gives us that. Then we get the actual message itself, which is that JSON part, but that is stored as a string. So we're going to try to convert that to a dictionary. Then we've got, we don't need this part because that was just me showing you what's in there. Then the final step is to take our, where are we? Review payload and add a key called themes, which is then going to be the theme response themes there. Now, this is awesome. And if all goes to plan, this should work without a problem, right? The big problem we'll have is if ChatGPT decides to not return a valid JSON object, we are going to have a failure at this point here. So we need to think about what do we want to do in that scenario? If it fails, how do we want to handle that? I don't have a thought right now. Like I have a million thoughts, but in the spirit of fast, bad, wrong, let's acknowledge that it needs to be addressed. So let's put some comments in our code. Try except block here. So we'll try something. If it fails, we'll do an exception, and we can choose to do something with that exception, or we can choose to do something different. And I reckon we'll be forced to do it because if I run this now, it's going to do it for all. How many do we have? Do we have 18? It will do it for all of them, right? So yeah, let's just run it for all 18. Shift enter on that. Okay, review 1, running. I might speed this up. Oh, off we go. Great. 4 down. I'm going to speed this up and then I'll catch you on the other side. Fingers crossed there's no errors. All right, there we have it. That's finished running and I'm very excited. So now what's happened is inside our 1 and 2 star review list, all of the review payloads now have the themes attached, which is very exciting. So let's go ahead and have a look at let's have a look at our last one. So -1 to look at our very last item in the list. And let's just test it. Okay, decent, but it ripped. Decent tent, bottom floor ripped in many places after 2 nights. Durability, quality, perfect. Let's test another one. Zipper issues. I just saw that, zipper issues. Okay, would not buy again, zipper issues. Yup, zipper issues. It works great for camping in the summer. The biggest no for me was the dang zipper. Okay, awesome. So where to from here? So let's think out loud. What do we got? So what new challenges have we created for ourselves? Now we have all these themes, but my concern is that ChatGPT might be referring to the same things differently. So do we need to, almost come up with a definitive list of themes and give that to ChatGPT to choose from? Or do we just let it run free, and then at a later point, do we then give it all those themes and say, hey, can you group these together? So there's a couple of options there, but let's size the prizes. Before we wrap up this episode, because we're getting close, let's just see what we're working with. So to do that, what we need to do is, again, we need to loop through each of the dictionaries, each of the dictionaries inside our 1_2-star reviews, and we need to extract the themes out. I'm gonna do that as a for loop because I think it would get a bit messy as a list comprehension, and readability is important. So we'll say for item in 1-2-star reviews. Again, this variable here can be anything you want. It could be X, it could be blah. So I'm just calling it item. And what I'm going to say is, when we have item, what do we have? We have something in item called themes, right? Which is themes, which is this one here. So what I might do is I might create a new variable outside of our for loop called big list of themes, okay? And what I'm going to be doing is, because each of these themes is a list itself, I'm going to say big list of themes, okay, dot extend, and we're going to extend that to include all the themes into that big list of themes. So now, what do we got? What are we working with? So shift enter on that. And here we have rain, size, design, assembly difficulty, seasonal use, limited use. That's interesting. Limited use. So I'm getting distracted, but limited use, we might need to tweak our body heat. That's interesting. Cold air. Okay. People complain about anything, eh? Unusable tent, faulty zipper, zip issue. So here we have the sort of concerns that I have. We have a zipper issue, faulty zipper, zipper issues. Now, this isn't a big deal. We can pass this back through to ChatGPT and say, can you group these together? And then we can give that list. I think we will end up having to give a system message, which has a definitive list of, I guess, problems. This person thinks value for money, broken pole, poor customer support. And again, so there's some of these that are not unique to the manufacturer or the product. It's actually the process, right? The customer support, which is also important, but we would probably want to push that to the side and say, well, what's the rate of poor customer support? Just separate to the overall product related reviews. Ease of use, weatherproofing, misleading advertising. That's interesting. But straight away, this is really interesting stuff. So where are we at? How have we gone? So a couple of things. Now, test the AI API. We've done that. We're getting close to the analysis, but I feel like the analysis is going to be around and round, because we're going to have to kind of go back a few times and get that right. Refactoring the code just a little bit, that's always going to need to happen. Code is never quite complete, but we don't want to spend too much time on that. We want to get down to the nitty gritty. So look, thank you for sticking this long into the video. I really appreciate it. This has been episode 3. We're getting really close to the juicy stuff. But again, 80% of your time when you're doing data analysis and data science, it will typically be spent getting the data right. So let's have a look at where we're at. We've got a whole bunch. We've got a big list of themes, which I'm really excited about. And in that, we've got a bit of a task ahead of us. I think episode 4 is really going to be working through the OpenAI API. I have recently got access to ChatGPT 4, and it has some additional functionality that I think we would be implementing into this end-to-end analysis. I didn't implement it just now. I wanted to stay on track with the current 3.5 that we've been using, but I do think there is an opportunity for us to go to ChatGPT 4 to also utilize not function calling, but you can actually request that it returns a valid JSON object every time. Now it's doing it currently, but we can request that every single time. So I'm really excited to get to the next episode. I think we are getting so close, and I'm just loving. I'm just going to be sitting here going through these and just reading them all. Like, let's just have a look at one more before we wrap up for the video, because I know. Yeah, okay. Where are we? Let's pick a random one. So, awful setup. I spent 2 hours trying to get the dang poles to raise up the tent. That sounds pretty frustrating, but it was just designed poorly. Do not buy this tent if you think it would be easy to set up. And the themes for that was difficulty in setup, poor design, and returning, which again, returning is more of a process thing, but it's an interesting theme to hold on to. So again, thank you so much for spending some time with me on this episode 3. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be alerted to episode 4. Heaps more tutorials coming out real soon, so stick around and yeah, go write some code.